Hey guys, welcome back to Planet Mithril. Your big, bushy, bearded painter is here today to give you a little bit of a rundown as to how the Fellowship of the Ring, Quest of the Ringbearer campaign is going. Yes, as you all know, that is now up and running. We are super excited and so happy to be able to start getting this out for you guys. I know it was a long time promised and finally starting to deliver on that promise, right? Mithril won't always do it in the right time, but he will always do it. A bat rep is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. It arrives precisely when Mithril pulls his finger out and does some work. So we are 5 scenarios down now. We have had the great crop heist of 2023, where the 4 hobbits bravely fought off Farm Maggot and the dogs. We have had the shortcuts make long delays, the race to the Buckleberry Ferry, the traversing of the Old Forest, and the fog on the Barrow Downs. Now, the majority of these scenarios have been quite small in scope, particularly the first 4, and the fog of the Barrow Downs being the first, I would say, major scenario. Definitely the first big one thematically, and the one that's probably chronologically the first one that people remember in the books, or that you would think of when you think of the Hobbit starting their journey. So yes, we are going to take this little chance just to have a 5-minute look over how the campaign stats are going so far, and see how the Hobbits have been faring, and see if we can work out who the bravest member of the Fellowship has been so far. Which Fellowship member would you want by your side on the trail to Mordor, and which one would you rather leave in the Green Dragon nursing a pint of beer while the Fellowship went on their quest? Let's start with the Ringbearer himself, Frodo Baggins. So yes, so far Frodo has managed to acquire himself 2 Bravest Companion awards, 2 Fellow Adventurer awards, and has also managed to obtain 1 single Fall of a Took. He has so far amassed a grand total, a ridiculously high total of 0 kills. Unfortunately, we're not counting banishing wraiths as kills. If they get a wound on a wraith and drive it off, that's fine. But if they just draw out the willpower, that's not technically a kill. You've merely outlasted the wraith. And Frodo has himself died twice. So I'd say it's not bad for old Frodo. Dying twice is unfortunate. Although the first time doesn't really count because that was just being driven off by Maggot's dogs. But we're going to count it because he went down to 0 wounds. You all saw it in the battle report. I think he's in a fairly good position. Bravest Companions. I'm trying to remember how he got that. I think he got that because yes, he did manage to rout all 3 dogs in the first scenario, didn't he? He was the only Hobbit left alive. Well, left, not bitten and bruised and battered and beaten. And he had to fight off all 3 dogs, which he did. He sent all 3 running back to the kennel, and then fought off Farmer Maggot for a good few turns before, unfortunately, finally succumbing to that dreaded sickle blade of maggots. So, and then I think the second time would have been Buckleberry Ferry, if I remember rightly, because I think he was the only survivor in Buckleberry, and he managed to, well, with the help of your grossly handsome and ingenious tactician that was controlling him at the time. He did call a heroic defense right at the last minute and managed to outlast all 3 of the wraiths that were bearing on him at that time, because all the other hobbits had unfortunately not done just as well. Those I think were the 2 that got him bravest companion, which was really good. The only thing that really let him down, and I can remember his Fall of a Took award, he was the only hobbit. No, he wasn't the only Hobbit, but he was the one Hobbit that we didn't want to get sacrificed at Fog of the Barrow Downs. And what happened? He got sacrificed on Fog of the Barrow Downs. Frodo, my lad. Of all the Hobbits to get sacrificed, you had to be the one, right? But I think that puts Frodo in a fairly average, probably just above average position for Bravest Fellowship member so far. Moving on to everyone knows the Bravest Fellowship member. This is merely a formality. That's all. It's merely a formality. But we all know who the bravest member of the Fellowship actually is. And we're going to talk about him now. We have Samwise the Brave, Samwise Gamgee here. Sam himself has racked up 2 bravest companions, 3 fellow adventurers, and has not been a contender for any Fall of a Tooks thus far, which is very good going, although considering the performance of quite a lot of the other Hobbits, maybe it's just he hasn't out-stupided them. Much like Frodo, he has amassed 0 kills, unfortunately, and he has also died twice. At the hands of, again, the dogs, and the only other time was on the Buckleberry Ferry. He was the 3rd to last Hobbit to go down, valiantly fighting 2 wraiths off to get to his master. Brave old Sam, brave old Brave old Sam took on 2 ring wraiths that were trying to take out Frodo, but unfortunately did fall. I think, if I remember rightly, he did actually fight them off on 1 whole round, because heroic strength for Sam is a thing, and race without might points, don't enjoy that. He did, unfortunately, lose track of Frodo in the Barrow Downs, spent the entire scenario fighting a Barrow Wight once we got over the second half of the board, and just couldn't get back to Frodo. So, but on the face of it, bearing in mind who actually won that Fall of a Took, the Hobbit who got sacrificed and lost me the game, yeah, Sam just didn't out-stupid Frodo on that front. That was quite a swingy one for Fall of a Took and Bravest Companion. But I would argue, and if I'm wrong, then please feel free to tell me in the comments, but I would argue, because Sam has not amassed any Fall of a Took award, that puts him one rung above Frodo in regard to most effective and best Fellowship member thus far. So as a result of that, we're going to put Sam in pole position, right where he belongs, with Frodo a very close second, I would say. Moving on to the next Hobbit, Meriadoc, Master Meriadoc Brandybuck. He was amassed fellow adventurer 4 times across the 5 campaigns and has 1 Fall of a Took to his name. He is the only Hobbit so far to not actually obtain a Bravest Companion. Maybe that's something to do with the fact that he has died in more or less every single scenario. He is the only Hobbit who has died more than twice. He has died an impressive 3 times across the scenarios, once being Farmer Maggot, once being Buckleberry Ferry, and then being sacrificed before Frodo on Fog of the Barrow Downs. He hasn't really done anything to shine, to be honest. He hasn't had the chance, or he hasn't really. He's just kind of been a bit of a body block for Frodo, maybe by killing Merry. Frodo's been able to escape. I don't really know. But he's not done anything noteworthy to my knowledge. Again, if I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. Type away, please. I want to hear. He always seems to be the first Hobbit to die. And if I'm thinking, right, now I'm not going to spoil that. Bite your tongue, Tom. No spoilers for future scenarios. So yeah, unfortunately, I think that puts Merry quite significantly at the very bottom, not having amassed a Bravest Companion as of yet. There's an arbitrary score system I'm using for this, and I'm not going to explain it because then I have to try and justify why I'm scoring things, and even I don't know why I'm scoring things the way I'm scoring. So if I don't know the rules, then no one else can tell me I'm wrong. That's how that works, right? Technically correct is the best kind of correct. And yes, moving on to the last member of our so far fellowship, Peregrine Took, Pippin himself. He has amassed 1 Bravest Companion, 3 fellow adventurers, and 1 Fall of a Took. So again, suitably average for Hobbits. He is, fairly in the middle of the pack. He has died twice over the scenarios, and also someone else who has got no kills. I don't know if I touched on Merry's impressive kill count, actually. If I didn't, let me correct past Tom. So going back to Mr. Pip, he has had some ups and downs. He is always the one wandering off from the party. We saw it in Shortcuts Make Long Delays with the random Hobbit movement. All 3 Hobbits run forward, Sam, Merry and Frodo running forward. Pippin decides he's going to wander off back towards the board edge and towards the oncoming Wraith, which very nearly put the whole scenario in jeopardy because he was out of my control for 2 turns, and that Wraith got very close to seeing him. He didn't really shine in Buckleberry Ferry. Well, he died in Buckleberry Ferry. Didn't really shine in the Old Forest. No one really did. What was it? It was Fog on the Barrow Downs. He had an up and down game in Fog on the Barrow Downs. Oh, those of you who've seen the battle report so far, if you haven't, go and check it out because it's a nail biter. Spoiler alert, incoming. That should have been spoiler alert for the previous Frodo and everything else that happened there. Past Tom. Throw a spoiler alert in there now, please, thank you. He was paralysed very early, or he wandered off from the pack again, and he was paralysed very early doors by a Barrow Wight, who started dragging him back to the Barrow. Not only did Pippin, in an amazing about-face, this was the turn after Frodo had become a contender for Bravest Companion for wounding a Barrow Wight, and for Pippin getting a contender for Fall of a Took again. Not only had he rid himself of the paralysed, got back on foot, he'd managed to fight off a Wraith, boss every single paralysed roll that was thrown at him till the end of the game. There was like 4 or 5 paralyzers that went towards him for the rest of the game, and he managed to negate all of them. Ran to try and catch up with Frodo, who was in the process of being sacrificed, and then managed to wound a Barrow Wight at the very 11th hour. It was the most heroic display we've had so far, I think, for Quest of the Ring Bearer, and that very firmly took him out of Fall of Took territory and into Bravest Companion territory. So going by my arbitrary scoring criteria, let's put them in order like so. We have, bang, at the top, Samwise Gamgee with 2 Bravest Companions and 3 fellow adventurers. Boom! Frodo Baggins with 2 bravest companions, 2 fellow adventurer and 1 fool of a took. Kapow! Peregrine Took with 1 bravest companion, 3 fellow adventurers and 1 fool of a took. And wah wah wah! Merry Addock Brandybuck right at the end with 4 fellow adventurers and 1 fool of a took. I need to have a haircut. Sorry, as you can probably tell, I'm very excited to be doing this Quest of the Ring Bearer stuff. I've got all this nervous energy. I have not been recording for a little while because, as you can probably see by this lovely thing, dental surgery is not fun. So this is why if I'm a little bit slurry, a little bit, you're going to have to forgive me. But we wanted to check in and just see how the Fellowship were faring, and this is currently the scoreboard as it stands. We'll do some periodic check-ins with the Fellowship as we go through the campaign. It'll be quite interesting to see what happens when like the kill counts start rising and people start like maybe dying in scenarios more, and who gets the awards and who you think should be getting all the awards, but then suddenly gets all the really rubbish full of Took awards. So exciting! I'm so excited. We filmed a couple more scenarios now. We've got a good few more to come. We are heading into Bree next time with the Nazgul and Bree scenario, so we get to see if Aragorn can escort the brave hobbits to safety out of Bree with the help of Barlow and Butterbur and Harry Goatleaf. Harry Goatleaf, you will have a tutorial for on Saturday. I appreciate a very niche model. Maybe not everyone's that bothered about a Harry Goatleaf tutorial, but our mentality is we want you guys to have all the resources that you can have available to paint all the models if you want to have a go at the campaign yourself. So we want to have all the models that we use in the campaign there for painting guides, for anyone who might find it useful if they're trying to do their own fantasy fellowship or their own fellowship campaign, or just general gaming. That's what it's there for. Anyway, yes, so that'll be really fun to show off, and then we're moving into some more of the scenarios with more characters, more shenanigans, and more fellowship members coming in. So a lot of good stuff to come. I really hope you guys have been enjoying the campaign as it stands so far. We've really been enjoying filming it. If nothing else, like we say in all the pre and post back rep stuff, it's nice to play scenarios with like finite amount of models and really fun little special rules and feel really narrative. It's great. We're having a great time. Any feedback, please let us know. We'd love to hear it. Anything you think we can change, anything you want us to kind of work around, because it's kind of an evolving thing. You'll see maybe a couple of format changes through the videos as we go, as we work out what works better, because once the actual fellowship has finished their journey, however far they get, we'll be repeating the whole thing with everyone's fantasy fellowship. So there's a whole host of back reps to come. But just continue being the awesome people that you are, the awesome community that we have, and so very grateful for being able to build up since starting to do this as our full-time job. I love you guys so much. Wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for all your support. And really, you guys mean the absolute world to me. So thank you all so much. We will see you on Saturday with Harry Goatleaf, and then following week will be another painting tutorial, and then probably the Nazgul and Bree. But until then, guys, take care of yourselves, and as always, happy hobbying. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.